Hey everybody, we got our first event under our belt at Pine Top one Friday. It was a successful outing. The week before, we got to work a little bit here at Stable View with the team coach Eric Devander. We worked a little bit on improving Frank's trot and his canter, doing a lot of, not as much here, but a little earlier in the lesson, doing some sort of green canter pirouettes to work on his strength training and also his body alignment, which come in handy in the test riding. It makes it easier to balance them and ride the corners in the test, and also feel like you have more collection. You can go deeper in the corners, and it kind of gives you more time to ride the test, so you don't feel like the movements are coming at you quite as fast because you have a little more collection. At Pine Top, his dressage was very good. I was very happy with him. Perhaps a little bit quiet in his movement, but it was actually one of the most accurate intermediate tests he's ever done. He's never been very good at the canter walks, and we rode the test that had quite a few of them, and I thought they were very accurate and very quiet. He ended up fourth after dressage. He found the show jumping footing a little bit difficult. We had a tremendous amount of rain the day before, and the ground was all a little bit soft, so he was a little bit losing his shape in the show jumping over the footing. And then cross country was the same, which I always feel it's good practice to run. Down here it's not quite mud the way that we think of it, but the ground was quite waterlogged, so it had the effect of riding in sort of a thin sort of mud, not thick or holding, but you did punch into the ground quite a bit. So he found it fairly difficult to travel across. And we were quite a few seconds over time, so not in a competitive place for this outing, but it served its purposes as a schooling. We hadn't really done any speed work in our schedule so far. I mean, we've been doing a lot of flat work, a lot of long trots afterwards, and sort of slower timed canter sets. After we had 40 seconds over the time, which was, I always planned to have time faults, but that was a little bit more than I was expecting. So after that, I think we were planning on shipping off for our gallops a little bit more. It's a little bit difficult in Aiken. It's not. There aren't a ton of great options. I did try one of the schooling areas. They have a canter gallop. I tried that. It was nice. It has some terrain. Would preferably have be a little bit more open. So I think later this week I'm going to try. There actually is a training center with a racetrack, a 1 mile racetrack that is open for use. So I'm going to try that a little bit later and just get, especially for Frank not being the most naturally forward horse, a little bit more speed work under him, so that on cross country it's not such a chore to keep him going. Usually he does benefit from that, and also going back and forth between sort of measured canter / gallops and then more speed work. The advantage to having a horse like Frank that's not terribly hot or forward thinking is that you can do quite a lot of speed work without their brain getting fried, or without too much fear of them getting overly hot in the dressage. So I look forward to adding that into the training regimen. It's a little bit more difficult because it's going to require, we don't have the luxury of having good galloping options at the barn we're at, so we have to put them on the trailer and haul them off places. But I do think he definitely benefits from it, and obviously with big events in the near future, it's going to be necessary anyway. This was the part of the test I was particularly happy with him. He the canter walks was something that I was never actually terribly good at, not having a lot of horses to practice with it. And it's one of those things that with him being a little bit downhill, the transition is a little bit difficult to keep him from falling onto his forehand and becoming very unbalanced going from canter to walk. But these were really good transitions, and showing that he's a seasoned horse, that I don't have to use the reins to pull him into the walk, that he just follows my aids, my seat aids and my leg aids, and does it without diving onto my hand. A little bit quiet here in the canter work. It's hard to take advanced horses in the intermediate test. If you kind of jazz the canter up a little bit, they expect the change. So in some of these counter canter exercises, I just kind of coast them along, which would be a normal tactic for a horse that knows how to do flying changes. He scored a 33, which was competitive in the division, although I thought it was a fairly high mark. But the marks were fairly high across the board for everybody, so I think that's just how the judge was scoring on the day, which is fine. We have some good training opportunities coming up in the next couple of weeks. Packy McGaughan will be down later this week, so we'll work a little bit with him. And then Caitlin and I, we found a Captain Mark Phillips clinic down the road the following week. And so we're going to take Frank and Carrot and ride in that, which I'm pretty excited about. I did get to ride with him when he was the team coach back in 2010 when I was on the developing training list. So I found it really helpful to ride with him then with Houston, and hopefully it'll be beneficial to Frank as well. The show jumping around, I thought it was a decent round, but as I said, the footing in the ring was a bit different than the warm-up, and also what we have been show jumping on so far. It's just a little bit holding, not bad footing, but just different than what he's used to, and he was just losing his shape a little bit. Was a little bit wide in the turns in this round and ended up having a couple of seconds over the time, so that's something that I've also been working on this week, trying to work on landing and turning and going rather than staying quite so wide on some of these. The next run will be not this Friday coming up, but the following Friday, also at Pine Top, and that'll be in the advance. So that'll be a big run, and it'll be anytime you go out and compete, it's always a great chance to see where you are in your training and also test and see what it is that you need to work on before the next one. So I felt like we got that done at this event, and hopefully when we move back up to advance, we'll see what we have to work on from there.